about it. I mean, that's fine. We don't have to talk about it anymore.
Or having my wife talk about it with her male friends, or you know.
Well, I mean, I've had those friends before I've known you, so.
But they don't.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. Talking to you guys obviously about Married at First Sight. We're dealing with Chris and Paige. Who was wrong, Chris or Paige? Who was wrong, Chris or Paige? Let's talk about it, guys. If you're new to the channel,
Mentioning the details of our sexual experience to several different people.
Make sure you like, you share, you subscribe to the channel, and you click on that bell button. That one goes ding ding. All right, for the notification of the what? The bell of the the notification of the output loads, guys. That's a little bit of a blooper for you guys, okay? and also for those of you who are returnees, well, you got the minerals, you got the minerals. That note was super off. That is a mad thing. But anyway, let's get into the video. Let's talk about it. Who was wrong, Chris or dealing with Paige? Now, the reason I'm talking about this particular scenario or scene in the show where they are sitting down when he's crying, she comes to the room. I said this in the other video. I said it's manipulation 101. When I come into a room, you've got your head buried in your arms on the table, acting as if you're crying, and it's the second time you've looked as if you're crying and no tears have come out. So you're not a good actor, first of all. Number two, it's a form of a manipulation, emotional manipulation.
It was weird, man. I've spent my whole life going against the odds. People have said
sorry, and so when obviously then she comes into the room and sits down, I wanted to take some stock of some certain things that are happening. She literally smirks when she comes in, and then when she sits down, you see her face, she's bothered, she's pissed, angry, frustrated at that point, right? And she's just tired of the bull crap. Okay, so look at the way she's looking at him. Just watch the way she's looking at him. She's not involved, okay? Right? And so then when he finally comes out of the stupor of the crying, okay, you're gonna see obviously then him sit up, okay? You're gonna see him sit up, but you see her face doesn't necessarily change, right? Her face doesn't necessarily change. In fact, she gets even more vexed, okay? And so now he's sitting up and explaining the situation. Look at the body language change from him.
Negative things about me my whole life, but you don't do that. You don't bring nobody parents. Like I'm from Chicago, and it's a different type of code that we follow. You don't disrespect nobody's mom or parents.
Look at the body language. It's completely changed. Now, man's no longer on the defensive. He's on the attack. Okay, so now he's talking directly to her. Okay, and so in this scenario, I want to break down. I want us to take away the emotion from the actual events. Okay, because how we feel about Chris doesn't mean that we have to say everything that he does is wrong or right just because of how we feel about him. Just because we're hurt for Paige doesn't also mean we ignore certain things. I want to be very, very clear, all right, on that. Okay, so I want you to understand I feel for Paige and I'm empathetic and I'm with her on this. I just got to break down what is true. And so his particular argument started off with the fact that he felt like his adult sex life shouldn't be discussed with his adult parents, with his parents. Can I be very frank? If this was a normal setting where there's no cameras, I would understand what he's saying.
I don't like talking about sex in front of a bunch of people. I don't like it, but it is what it is.
But you didn't mind asking this woman on national television. Let me say it again for you. And let me sip my water while I do that, okay? You didn't mind on national television to ask her series of questions around sex. Am I saying Paige is innocent? No, and we're going to deal with that because earlier in this episode, we hear her talking about condoms, so let's not. But a series of questions around sex you didn't mind talking about on national television, knowing your parents would see this. But you're uncomfortable now because your wife went to your parents to discuss not necessarily your sex life, because she didn't actually talk about the sex life. She spoke about the fact that you had sex. Okay, there wasn't an in-depth conversation about sex. Okay, yeah, she didn't disclose necessarily any details, how big it was, how long it was, how great or bad it was. She just said that you had sex, or alluded to it at least. Okay, and kind of put it in a euphemisms, if you want to call it that, if that's the correct word, right? She did that, right? But you discussed sexual things of your adult life with people who you don't know, because the audience don't know you. So do you see how mad it is? Part of the argument. So I agree. In a normal setting, I would feel a certain type of way if my wife went to my parents to discuss the sex, if it's something that we had sex, discussing the sex or whatever, and not discussed it with, myself or a therapist or whatever first, right? I would understand that. But you've already you've opened up the lines of communication by talking about sex on your wedding day, on the national television, bro. You started off that way. How is it you're backtracking now all of a sudden? The reason why you're backtracking is because it's control. So so part of his argument, I understand, right? If this was a normal setting, a normal relationship where you're not on TV, I would get it. It's a violation because, and the violation is less about the sex, the violation for him is less about the sex. He just couldn't break it down. It's less about the sex. It's more about the fact that you
sexual experience to several different people. It just makes me feel violated, and I felt like the trust was betrayed.
went to tell on me. This is what you said later on. He said, "Oh, it's like my wife went and just basically like told on me to my parents." That's what you're vexed about. You're vexed that your image. You're vexed that your image is under now duress. Your image is now under scrutiny. Your image is now being questioned. It's not about the sex issue.
You having sex. I think that there are certain individuals that you had that conversation with, and it kind of feels as if like she went to tell them, like to kind of tell on me like I was a kid or something.
You and your dad here don't mind bantering about how you want to beat the back off her. Don't worry about that, fam. You're not vexed about that. You're not concerned that you and your dad, and you're talking with your parents. How was it that your dad was there in the first episode making jokes about, I just gotta put it right there. I gotta put it right there. Well, if he's saying that and you were joking and laughing and high-fiving your boys, even your pastors there, I don't understand where you think that you're out of that. I don't understand how you think her going to have a conversation with your parents is a mazzoline. You've already opened up the context of conversation. You've already built up the situation. I'm saying this for anybody watching who's in a relationship. In a normal setting, please don't go to anybody's parents talking about sex. Please don't. Please don't. Please don't. Unless you have that kind of relationship, please don't. Okay? Because it's an awkward conversation. But in all honesty, the argument that he's having, okay, is problematic in the sense of the fact that he has tried to get this argument to a point where she's going to feel bad. It's almost called, like, in war we call it getting one up. You're almost trying to get one up, because then you can utilize that as a weapon against her and say, hey, but the last time you did, you know what I'm saying? And it's almost like, oh, when you deflect from the original situation, which is actually more about you being told off. That's an issue, right? So, and I understand why Paige went to it. She wanted to appeal to the higher powers of his life. It just wasn't the right move. To go and discuss that with the parents, maybe with a pastor, yeah. Maybe with the therapist, yeah, but not with his parents. It's an off-limits kind of conversation that, unless you two have agreed that kind of conversation happens between your parents, maybe that's not the right time. That's not the right kind of conversation to have. So in that regard, I do understand him in that sense. Yeah. I don't get the whole other aspects of, disrespecting my mom. If you disrespect my mom, disrespect my parents, disrespect my kids or whatever.
That we follow. You don't disrespect nobody's mom or parents. You don't disrespect nobody's kids. You don't disrespect nobody's spouse. Those are the 3 off-limits things.
We don't do that in Chicago. Nobody does that anywhere, especially black folk. We don't do it. Yeah, so I don't get that part. But again, I understand how that a part of it, of why he felt the way he did. I just don't agree with all of it. And if you watch her reaction, she's barely putting up a fight at the beginning, because she's gone. She don't care. We don't care. She doesn't care. She's not invested anymore. So at that point, if you see the way she reacts to some of these things that he's saying, she's not buying it anymore. She's not buying it. And I think he said obviously that people have said some negative things about me my whole entire life, but you don't. But you don't do that. I'm from Chicago. Blah 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 blah. And I was like, what? But wait, hold on a minute. People, what has that got to do with the argument? People, people have told me bad things my whole entire life. Wait, what? Again, this is I want you to allude to this. The hidden thing he's talking about here isn't the sex part. The hidden part is, listen what he said. People have said bad things about me my whole entire life.
Weird, man. I've spent my whole life going against the odds. People have said negative things about me my whole life, but you don't do that. You don't bring nobody parents. Like, I'm just...
They've said it to him. It's not to his parents. I mean, to deep it. They've said bad things about him his whole entire life to him, not to his parents. Why? Because the image needs to be kept. The good boy image needs to be kept, which is why I probably... Or maybe, I don't know, the dad's a bit mad when he said, obviously, I've raised up a perfect gentleman. I'm like, really? Oh, sir, are you sure? You are sure about that? Perfect gentleman, I'm not sure if you're talking about the same thing I'm talking about. So now you're seeing this complete switch. And then so when later on, okay, they're not having an argument outside. Because they went outside, and I always say this: look, if you stand up, it doesn't often help the argument get any better, to be honest. Because how people interpret standing up. Sometimes when people stand up, it's the psychological effect is that you're now challenging. So people often actually say sit down psychologically. So if you're already sitting down, sit on the floor. Maybe that will help. And if you're on the floor, well, there's nowhere else to go but 6 feet under. So, I saw that and I was like, okay, cool. So now you see, if you see her body language, look how she's leaning like this, leaning away. She's not invested anymore. She's not involved. The first time around when he had an argument, she actually went over, sat next to him, pulled his hand away from his face, etc., right? Because that's what she can deal with. Now, the second time around, she's unwilling to deal with it, right? They now go outside, okay, and now have this conversation, right? And he's talking about disrespect. There's what does he say? There's no and then she, I'm gonna even play it. Let me get it. Hold on. So now obviously he starts talking about how he felt violated, and this is a whole manipulation ploy, I'm gonna be real with you. I believe this is a whole manipulation ploy to now put the blame on her to make her feel bad, so she's at the end apologizing. I feel violated, I feel bad, there's no way I should feel like this.
It just makes me feel violated, and I felt like the trust was betrayed.
I should feel like this.
Same.
I didn't disrespect you, though. I didn't disrespect you.
Feel what, sir? The fact that she went to your parents and said the truth. That's what makes it even more gregarious. Is it gregarious the right word? I don't know how you can say it. That's what makes it more mad, is the fact that she went to your parents and told the truth. She didn't tell no lies. You're not questioning her. You're not questioning her the fact that it's not true. You're saying you felt violated because you went and told your parents, right? But there's no way you should feel like this. And I'm like, but what did you feel like? What, you mean when they put you under pressure because you're behaving a bit mad, and you had to explain why you decided to sleep with her, even though you weren't no accountability. You didn't want the accountability. You didn't want the accountability. Let's keep it 100% true. You didn't want the accountability. So now we're having an argument outside the doors, and when she's saying that she also feels disrespected, you're saying, how did I disrespect you? How did I disrespect you? What do you mean? And she's done this saying, listen, you've already disrespected me earlier on, because this whole situation is from disrespect. If you are saying to me you slept with me even though you're unattracted to me, it's disrespect. And so you clock this year.
Raise some type of attraction, and whether thinking was right or wrong, it was mutually agreed upon.
I've talked to...
When they're talking, he explains, obviously saying, oh, but obviously the sex between me and you was consensual. Almost like he's scared that it's going to be taken the wrong way. Like I used you. Sir, you might have used her. I'm not saying rape, please, it wasn't that. But you did use her. You did. You weren't looking for a connection. Come on, sir. You're a grown man now. Grown-ass men know. We ain't looking for no connection there. When there's no connection there, sex ain't gonna bring a connection. You're a grown-ass man. You've been through relationships. You've had sex. You know it don't bring no connection. Let's be very frank. Yeah, because only a desperate person at that point does that. Women sometimes do that a lot. I know they try to save the marriage and they do everything to try and save it. They'll even go in and do what they don't even want to do, right? But men oftentimes, when it comes to when they're done. So when they know that they don't fancy the gal, let's be honest, we're using the gal. If you're not telling her the truth that I just want sex and you just want sex, and you're not telling her that, you're using the person. If you've not stated why it's got to a point where you're discussing that, you're using the person. Let's keep 100% trill. Yeah, let's not pretend as if we don't know what we're doing out here, cuz, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. For me, in that scenario, I would say this straight up. I totally understand Paige's frustration, and I can understand why she said she felt disrespected. I also see his point of view, but only a tiny bit. I'm not talking about the whole thing. I understand that the conversations have never gone there, but he's blown it out the water, I believe, to use as a weapon to make her small and to minimize her feelings. So now when she's now saying, I feel disrespected, what does he do? But you don't get to tell me you're disrespected because you've done this. So you can hold two truths at once, you know. I want to let you know, couples out there, you can hold two truths at once. You don't disarm someone's feeling by bringing across another feeling, right? If I say to you, oh, look, you know what? You hurt me. Yeah, I hurt you because you hurt me. Yeah, I get it, but now you've disarmed it. What we actually have to do is say, okay, let's deal with one each. You hurt me. Okay, I'm sorry for hurting you because you know what? That wasn't the right thing to do. Disarmed. Now the next one. I'm not gonna lie to you. I said some things to you and I was frustrated and I was hurt because you said some things to me and that's why I felt this. Now it's disarmed. Okay, cool. My bad. I didn't know that. Did it? And it's disarmed. But when there's a back and forth trying to disarm each other with different arguments as to you hurt me, or you did this, nobody wins.
How should it feel?
Because
This.
you're saying, I don't.
I didn't disrespect you, though. I didn't disrespect
But
you.
you keep saying that.
I did not disrespect you.
Yes, in your eyes.
I did not disrespect.
In all honesty, nobody wins, you know. So, guys, I don't want to say too much. Nobody wins when we're doing back and forth like that. Do you know what I'm saying? We've got to be able to address each individual argument one by one so that it's not a case of, as someone might say, oppression Olympics, hurt Olympics. You know, hurt Olympics. We don't want that. So yeah, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of what uploads. We appreciate you so locked and stay loaded. We're going to see you soon, guys.